First of all, thank you so much for inviting me and for inviting UNFPA in this space. There have been so much said that I was thinking, what can I add to the discussion around gender equality and women's rights? And I was thinking, let us deconstruct what we mean when we say gender equality and women's rights. What are we talking about? What does this, very broad concept encompass as it relates to demography? So first of all, let's go to the basics. So gender equality is the protection of the rights of all people, including women and girls, and is central to building just, safe, prosperous societies. This is the basic. I don't need to convince you about this. We all know that. But due to uneven power relations, gender discrimination, women tend to be worse off than men everywhere, worldwide. This is the general trend. If we bring the demographic discussion that bring us together today, there are two issues that I want you to consider. The first one is that the reproductive choices that people make are influenced by a complex mix of cultural, social, economic factors, as we have seen today, but that these decisions and these personal preferences are gendered, and they react or respond to gender inequalities. The second thing that I want to share with you is that the attempts to get women to have more children without addressing the deep-rooted gender inequalities can easily put at risk the rights of women and girls and reproduce the inequalities that are driving these discriminations. And they're also ineffective in the long term. Several speakers have spoken about that. They actually don't work. So when women's bodies are seen as mere instrument for reproductions, as mere, the only uterus as having babies, limiting women's rights to decide how many children they want is just around the corner. It's a very, very difficult and dangerous road that countries can take. In this scenario, for UNFPA, for me, and for the organization I work with, the international framework that we all have agreed on is very, very relevant. And I want to go back, being a bureaucrat that I am, to the International Conference on Population and Development, because this is what gives us the basic of understanding of the rights that are at play when we talk about these things. So what the International Conference on Population and Development, Cairo, says is that it wants to guarantee that the basic right of couples and individuals to decide freely and responsibly the number, spacing, and timing of their children and have the information and means to do so. This whole day has been about that. But it also, and this is the interesting part, it also includes the right to make decisions free from discrimination, coercion, and violence. And this is where women's rights come into play, including the right of women to have control over and decide freely and responsibly on matters related to their sexuality, including sexual and reproductive health and rights. So I don't want, and probably I will speak later, but I see that I'm over the time. So finally, what I want to share with you is that when we talk about gender equality, we talk about power, discrimination, and exclusion. And we talk about a system that privileges the man and the masculine over the feminine. And this has real implications on women's rights and even in how women decide or not to have their children, because that also influences how they see their own motherhood and their own childbearing, being one of the most important sociological issues in discussion today is a division between unpaid care work and reproductive work. This is the bottleneck that we're talking about today, that women are only responsible for unpaid domestic work, they take the double or triple burden, they need to choose to have a family or work, and etc., all that, the things that we said. But it also means that it's not only about the state and sort of the institutional changes, it's also about the changes in social norms and gender norms, as we, gender people say. It's about having a different view of masculinities and involving more men in unpaid care work and domestic work and child rearing, etc., etc.